Thanks, Javon. But Nintendo Wii wasn't the only thing getting all the media attention at E3. All eyes were also on Sony, with their brand new PlayStation 3.
It's been a pretty solid year for Sony this year. They have taken some brave steps to announce pricing and launch details, as well as taking a major step of unveiling the final controller design for the PS3 after last year's didn't exactly prove too popular with gamers. This year, the controller that Sony has unveiled has proven a lot more popular with gamers already. It's a lot more similar to the DualShock 2 controller that gamers are already familiar with on PlayStation 2, but the cool new feature is that it has motion sensing. This can be used in a few different ways, like one of the games that has been playable here at the show floor has been a game called WarHawk from Sony America. It's pretty cool because you can actually control the fighter jet that you're in, just by tilting the controller left and right. It's not like a direct rip-off of the Wii controller that Nintendo unveiled in September last year. It's more like just to add value to the different ways that you can play games on the PS3. I think the two controllers, they operate in slightly different ways to each other, which is going to mean at the end of the day, better choice for gamers. One of the hot topics in the months running up to the show has been, is the PS3 going to be really capable of the mock-up demos that were shown last year? The answer is kind of no, basically. The games look pretty similar to what we're seeing on 360 since last year, and this is becoming quite obvious now, but it's still cool, and Sony has been quite generous about letting us see what the PS3 can do. For example, they had a load of PS3 playable kits on the floor running off of the pretty much final development kit hardware. From that we can get a good idea of what the PS3 will really look like when it's released. There's going to be two different packs that you'll be able to get for PS3. You'll have your basic version, which will come with a 20GB hard disk. That's going to retail at about €500 and $500. But the sort of hardcore gamers are probably going to be more interested in the more high-level pack, which is 60GB hard disk included, and that's going to be about $600 and €600. The problem with Sony PlayStation 3 this year is that there is no real killer app video game title. There's a bunch of high quality software and a lot of third parties are showing some cool stuff, but I think they're saving their real big guns for Tokyo Game Show later this year.
Thanks, Adam. Here's Dan.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Dan here from United Games at E3 2006. I got an early media access pass, so that means I get in 2 hours before all the other poor saps have to wait outside. I'm looking forward to PlayStation 3, the next generation console, and also check out some of the great next generation games that are coming out. Let's go give it a try.
First up was Genji, Days of the Blade, which dramatizes historic battles in ancient Japan.
Now it's time to play Genji 2. So the first game I played was Genji 2, and as soon as I picked up that controller and started actually playing the game, I said, oh my God, what a disappointment. Genji 2, you gotta work on the camera angles and the graphics really need to be beefed up. For a PlayStation 3 game, the graphics sort of look PS2-ish. I talked to the developer of the game for a bit. He says based on historical facts, and I don't know in history about any little demon orcs coming out and actually attacking samurais. But other than that, the game's pretty good. There's just a couple of quirks they gotta fix. If this is the first time you pick up the game, it's nothing you haven't played before. Button mashing, running around, it's sort of Onimusha is. But for fans of the genre, I can see definitely people picking it up and actually playing it and enjoying it, getting into the storyline. So you can swap between characters in the middle of a battle, and there's a little bullet time reel a la Max Payne. Well, enemies surround you and you have to press a number of button combinations to counterattack them. When I switched with characters and got the guy with the huge pole with the hammer, there's really a big recovery time to it, because you can't expect a quicker recovery time with a hammer than with two light swords. You can feel the weight of that pole as he's swinging it. It does look like he's gearing up to hit a home run out of the park. Nothing beats knocking some enemies into the air with a huge pole. I give it and I'm being very lenient here, I'll give it a 6.5 to a 7.
Oh dear, never mind Dan, perhaps WarHawk will do it for you, a multiplayer shooter that'll be available on the PlayStation Network.
The game I'm about to play right now for the PS3 is WarHawk, and it is the first game to use the tilt motion sensor in the PlayStation 3 control. Looks pretty good. Okay, so now I just finished playing WarHawk, ladies and gentlemen. Great game. Very promising now. Now this reinstalls my faith in the PS3 lineup. When you pick up the controller, there's no really steep learning curve. You just pick up and tilt and the plane responds automatically. It has a very natural feeling to it. The only sad thing I couldn't do was a whole backwards loop. I did try turning the control a whole revolution around, but it wouldn't follow. But the one thing I did like was the tumbles and the barreling down the sky. Very good. What I really like is when you cut through the clouds. It felt very natural dodging through the mountains and dodging other enemy missiles and everything. Reminiscent of with Star Wars, you know, and going in there, just shooting other crafts down from the air and just flying around, destroying big carriers. The reason I like it is because it has more interaction with you tilting the control and the plane actually responding to your every move. You know, you're just not limited to your thumbs anymore. You know, I can't praise it enough. It's a very good game.
Thanks, Dan. Next, it was Resistance: Fall of Man, a first-person shooter from Insomniac that, despite a historical 1950s setting, nonetheless pits humans against aliens, as Insomniac's Ted Price explains.
Resistance: Fall of Man is a first-person shooter set in Great Britain in 1951. If this is the 1950s that we don't know. For example, World War II never occurs in our version of history.
The first time I played this game, I thought, you know, it was another Medal of Honor, but you can see you're not fighting Nazis, you're fighting aliens. The storyline is going to be really hard to get into. Seeing that World War II never happened and said you're fighting something or that I've seen before in Starship Troopers. What the bloody hell am I supposed to be fighting? Are those like lizards? But the graphics and the physics are very good. When you shoot walls, the bullet holes actually stay there when you return. And the wall, the bullets stay right there.
Yeah.
That's very, very neat.
And you get a nice cement spray coming up there. One of the cool things about the PlayStation 3 is we can show a lot of detail.
About that alien jumping in that guy's back, that just shows that the enemies interact with your allies no matter what the situation is. And if you don't get that alien off your allies' back, it's pretty much done for.
Let me see if I can get Chapman again. Yeah, there. See, I can shoot him off. And now that guy's safe. And he can accompany me to the end of the level and help me beat these guys.
The characters interact with each other without you having to be around. Although, as you see at the end, they didn't provide much cover for me when I got shot. I saved the guy, no one saved me. But all in all, it's a very good game. Looks promising, just little minor details you can add. Is there any way to like carry against the wall and pop out?
We don't have anything like that right now.
And when I first came to this game, I was a little bit iffy, but once I got to pick up the control and started getting into the gameplay, it was easy for me. It came with a natural flow. And exploring the whole territory, walking around, getting a feel for the game, very good.
What you're seeing here is one of our battlefield segments in the game. Throughout the game, in addition to corridor shooting segments, there'll be these large, expansive, very cinematic, frantic battlefield sequences where it's you and just a ton of allies taking out tons of Chimera.
Very good. Well, and some of the weapons are pretty good too.
Because we have such a different universe to work in addition to the standard weapons, we also have a lot more imaginative weapons. For example, the bullseye. If you hit L1, it fires out a special tag, and when you hit an enemy with that, all of your bullets after that point will go to that enemy until he dies. You can also tag walls. All of your bullets will go and rotate above the trap on the wall, and you can move it around the environment. Push circle to throw out the grenade, and it throws out a spiky grenade. Hedgehog, we're calling it. It rises up into the air and shoots out hundreds of little spikes into the environment.
You can shoot bullets randomly, and they just follow your enemy until he's dead. That's really cool. I can see fans of first-person shooters jumping into this. What will set it apart from the other games is just the storyline, and also the way your allies interact with each other and with you. From the three that I've played so far, WarHawk is at the top. WarHawk is good. Resistance comes in at second, and Genji too. Sorry, dude. You guys are last.
Genji's still getting you down, Dan? Why not try the Blue Wonder as he speeds onto Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3?
Alright guys, remember this from the Genesis era? He's back with PlayStation 3. Next game we're going to play is Sonic the Hedgehog. The new character for this one is Silver the Hedgehog. You saw me playing before with earlier. The learning curve on this one is pretty steep. I couldn't use his or her psychic abilities. Well, when I was playing with Sonic, it was more lenient, more easier to control, but if you're a fan, it'll be something for you to easily jump into. With Silver, it was a bit sluggish, slow paced, but with Sonic dashing through bridges, riding rails, everything, yeah, you definitely feel the adrenaline rush. You manage to surf on water, surf on rails, and it's fun. You know, I can see myself getting into this. It's the Sonic I've seen before on the Dreamcast. There's a couple of good new innovative things, but I've seen it and played it before, so I don't personally see myself being overhyping it as much, but I can see fans really getting into this. More of the same except better graphics, richer graphics.
Thanks, Dan. Next, Dan was able to try out Gran Turismo HD, a special demo Sony had created by taking vehicles and tracks from Gran Turismo 4, as well as various bikes from Tourist Trophy, and boosting their resolution for PlayStation 3. Whilst not a game in its own right, it showed how the development team were getting to grips with the new PlayStation 3 hardware. The demo was a precursor to the PlayStation Network's Gran Turismo downloadable title, and showed the team was on the right path to developing the much anticipated Gran Turismo 5.
I just finished playing Gran Turismo HD. It's running at 1080p. Visual masterpiece, very beautiful game. Well, the first time I saw it, I thought it was actually like a movie or a TV commercial. But once I saw people interacting with it via the controller, I was completely blown away. The vehicles themselves are very responsive. You can choose from either traditional racing cars, Lamborghinis, Shelbys, to motorcycles, Suzuki's, Hondas, and Yamahas. And once you get behind the wheel per se, everything is just marvelous from there. When you're driving down the road, you see everything reflect right off the vehicle, the trees, the lighting, everything. It's beautiful. This really showcases the capabilities of the PS3. When I would use the Suzuki Blue motorcycle, I fell off a couple of times. One little bump against the wall and you're battling to regain control of your motorcycle when you're going 200 miles per hour. Not to mention that I only had one gear going at 80 miles per hour and everyone else was overlapping me, going around 250 miles per hour. But it was fun. As far as this being a PlayStation 3 title, I really see it showcasing and highlighting everything that the machine has to offer. Lush graphics, great physics. I don't see no reason why not to get into it when this one comes out for the PS3.
Next, Dan got to play Heavenly Sword, an action-adventure that makes a graceful ballet out of brutal combat.
The game I just finished playing is Heavenly Sword. Very good game, very good game. A visual masterpiece, I would say. Graphics are some of the best I've seen so far at this year's E3. So far, the demo that I played is heavily combat-based, but for many people, I can see it like the old Final Fight, with swords, and like the way you can grab your enemies, fling them around, pick up barrels and toss it at them, pick up tables, toss it at them. You know, that's pretty neat. You can even pick up their own weapons and throw it back at them. The combat system is also easy to grasp. When there's multiple enemies attacking, you can easily evade and ward off these enemies. But it's also many other things integrated into the game, so it's not just run around, slash, kill, wash, rinse, repeat. At the bottom, I don't know if you saw it on the screen, you can see some little red dots. Those are accumulating style points. The more you kill with style, the more points you get. And ultimately, once you fill up that bar, you go into a cut sequence, killing with style. It's not about just killing, hacking, and slashing. It's about killing with style. I was running around, and I was killing hordes of enemies. You know, spinning around, bringing out chains, using their own weapons against them, and the game never slowed down. And running up walls, you gotta press up, X, you gotta do a couple of button mashing combinations, leaping a couple feet into the air to destroy the final boss, where you kill with such a grand finale that'll put all your other kills to shame. It's great, it's a lot of fun. Visually, this is a great game, doesn't slow down, very rich and fluid graphic. So I'll put this one in my top category along with WarHawk. Good game. It'll be worth your money and your time.
Thanks, Dan. Next, we asked Dan what he thought so far about the PlayStation 3 and its new controller.
So it's not the boomerang control that we saw at last year's E3. It retains more of a PlayStation 2 feel to it, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's something we're all familiar with. Some of the game developers are actually finding good ways to make use of some of the new features on this, like the tilt motion with WarHawk. That was very good. The only thing that did seem to bother me a bit were the L2 and R2 buttons. They felt like they were about to fall off. After experiencing last year's CGIs, experiencing these games firsthand today, I can see the graphics really live up to the hype and expectation of the PlayStation 3. As we're seeing some of the cut sequences right now for Africa, the graphics are very rich. A definite step up from some of the games that I've seen on the Xbox 360. Some of them are cut above my expectations. WarHawk, Resistance, Fall of Man, even Sonic the Hedgehog has its glory moments. I see room for improvement for some games, and I'm hoping we could get our hands on some more games.
Next, Dan was joined by Karina to challenge him to a game of Sega's Virtua Fighter 5.
We're over here in the South Hall now, checking out Virtua Fighter 5, and we have two new fighters. They have El Blaze from Mexico, and they have Eileen from China. The trailer looks promising, but seeing and touching is believing. I got a punching bag over here with me, so why don't we give that a good go?
I feel sorry for him.
Oh crap, getting my ass whooped.
Cheater.
As you can see, my colleague here lost.
Cheater.
It's okay, it's okay. She won the second round, and
Cheater.
there's no winners or losers today. We both won, right?
Obviously, I was cheated. One of the guys was helping him play what buttons to push and everything, so
For the
that's
record,
why,
it's called
yeah.
skill.
Yeah, anyways.
But yeah, Virtua Fighter 5, very good game.
The graphics are really good, they're great. The movements are better, they're faster, and it's better than the Virtua Fighter 4.
Well, this is the first fighting game that I played for the PlayStation 3, and so far so good. And it made a good first impression with just those one characters that we did pick.
So imagine the rest.
Looks like a worthy addition to anyone's library. Especially after my victory. I'm sold.
Not impressed by Dan's cheating, Karina tried a few backhanded moves herself, not to mention a few forehanded swings too, as she got to check out the PlayStation 3 version of Sega's Virtual Tennis 3.
I'm about to try the Virtual Tennis 3. The graphics look pretty good so far, so we'll see how it goes. It's a little tricky because it switched positions. You were in the opposite end, so I couldn't figure out which one was I. But you'll get used to it. I figured it out. I won the first round. I'm winning. The last one I lost. Tennis is tennis. You know, it's just back and forth. But it's pretty simple. You don't have to aim at the ball like in a certain position. You just run to it. Press one button, just swing, and it just automatically hits it. You hold the button to see how fast you want to serve the ball. The longer you hold it, the more powerful you hit the ball. It gets your attention, but it's pretty simple. Not much of a tennis player in a video game, at least, so, but it's great. It's a good game. I enjoyed it very much.
Next up was Eye of Judgement, which uses an improved iToy camera to bring a monster card game to life.
Another game we got coming up is Eye of Judgment, and it's a card-based game.
予定としては PS3 ローンチタイトル。ゲームのセットとしてはカメラとスタンドとカードが全部つきます。まずカードだけで遊べるものを作って、それで2年間開発してきたんで、カードゲームとしての奥深さはもうすごい評価をもらってる。この 3×3 のフィールドを使うゲームに行き着くまでにいろんなゲームデザインはありました。ただそのカードだけで遊ぶとルールとかバトルの計算がすごい面倒くさいんで PS3 を使ってもらうと誰でも簡単に楽しむことができる。
So we just finished getting us the demo of Eye of Judgment. And we actually didn't play the game, but we got a demonstration of how it works.
The guy put 2 cards on the mat, and the camera read the information of each card, like magic and the powers that the character had. And it came up a virtual character, and they started fighting. After one of the characters killed the other one, you had to replace the character. There were like 100 characters, and you can also use spells cards and magic cards.
There's 5 different attributes to it. There's wind, water, fire, earth, and machinery. It's an interesting idea and concept behind the game, but it seems a little slow for me, just a tad bit. Turn-based card strategy games are never really my cup of tea. The graphics are amazing, but when the spells were actually summoned, it did seem a bit choppy at times. So I probably would just give it to a little nephew or niece.
It's a great game, but again, it's something more that the kids will enjoy more.
Thanks, Karina. Next up, we sent Dan to wail into the mic for a little bit of karaoke in PlayStation 3's SingStar.
I finished playing SingStar, and I must say it was a little bit embarrassing. I didn't want to play it. I grabbed the mic, and as soon as that first verse came out of my vocal cords, I felt like a jackass. But suffice to say, it's a very fun game. I think this is the first game for the PlayStation 3 to incorporate more of a multiplayer feel to it. You get together with a bunch of friends, knock back a couple cocktails, and hope the installation is good in your house so no one else would hear you sing. Playing against Karina, we actually sang Hoobastank's The Reason head-to-head, and it was fun. What happens is while we're singing, there's a little bar that comes out, and you're supposed to keep your vocal pattern leveled at that bar. When I was singing with Karina, the bar was here, my vocal pattern was about somewhere up here. Gradually, I started noticing that once you keep it within the level of the bar, it starts highlighting the bar that you're actually hitting the perfect note when you're singing. There are no winners or losers, but I won. Well, by points, but in reality, I can't sing for the life of me. But that doesn't take anything away from this game. The one thing I do like about SingStar the most, if there's a particular song that isn't incorporated in the SingStar software, you can go online and purchase a song so you can sing. It incorporates the iToy so you can play against other opponents over the internet. And depending on how good you are, you could be either an international superstar or an international embarrassment. Don't look for me on SingStar. I'm only keeping it one player in my house. Personally, I'm not one to really sing out in public. It's embarrassing, yeah, once you pick up your microphone and start singing, but once you get over that embarrassment, it's a lot of fun. Every move you make, every value. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to go for another song and another song and another song, because once you really get into the game, you forget that you're singing with a bunch of strangers around you, and you really get into the feel of the whole game itself. Although there's a certain level of embarrassment attributed to this, it's top of my list. It's all thumbs up if you're not red and going like that, but other than that, it's a great game.
Next, Dan was given the chance to see the PlayStation 3's user interface in action, which aside from loading games, can also access music, movies, and photos.
Scroll through on your own, flip them around, or just hit the start button and that creates its own slideshow. Backspace out, and then it goes right back to your menu where you hit music. Music is MP3 and 8 tracks. That's A-T-R-A-C, not 8 tracks. Band, you select your album, pick your song. And then you backspace out of that, backspace, over to video. Video is going to be Blu-ray disc. This is not Blu-ray we're seeing right here, but that's what will be installed on the PS3. Hit your menu on the right over there, and then you can just hit play. Backspace out of your video onto games. Games are not set up in this particular demonstration. And you go to your browser. Yahoo. This is where you would hook up a keyboard to the system. We don't have one, but we'll just scroll down. You can see the status bar at the bottom right. And that's a picture taken at this expo just yesterday, Paris Hilton. Then you got a menu over to the right. Select. New window. Just open up a bunch of windows. And then you can keep them minimized, look at them, or you can select one and then toggle over. Backspace, and you're out. And Friends is the last one that's not set up for this demonstration. And that is your interface, guys.
Next up was a chance to see PlayStation 3's Blu-ray capabilities. Blu-ray, of course, being a new DVD format that has the capacity to store high-definition movies. And here Sony was showing some off on a high-definition TV.
We just saw some trailers right now on the PS3 via Blu-ray disc. Very lush and beautiful. I mean, we just saw some on a high-definition TV. Everything looks superb, intact. There's no pixelating at all when it's playing back the movies. It just looks perfect, superb. What more can I say? Very good.
So, given all Dan had seen during the course of E3, how did he feel about PlayStation 3?
It was an honor for me to come over here and actually get my hands on this incredible machine ahead of the general public. It has web browsing capabilities. You can see photos, music, movies. PS3, you got my thumbs up. You got me sold. Very amazing machine.